Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Savannah Humoller, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And finally, we got rid of the other guys. This is Mick Shots. This is Bill Jones, along with Savannah Humoller, as Everson is out today, and who knows where Mickey. Oh, Mickey showed up. Wow.
Start over.
Mickey finally showed up for the show. How much of a fine, Savannah, do you think that should be?
I don't know, but Bill, I thought we were going to have to carry it on the rest of the day.
No, it wasn't that we were going to have to carry it on. It was that we get to carry it on the rest of the day.
There's practice going on. Did you notice?
There is practice going on. I did notice.
Did you
and he was peering out through the window.
Did you notice anything out there?
Well, I noticed that you were watching practice.
That's right.
Along with Brad Sham. And
Brad had one last question.
One last question?
And I answered his question, unlike Mike McCarthy.
What was the question?
Did you hear the press conference?
Yeah.
Did you hear Brad's question?
Yeah, go. Tell the rest of the class.
So Brad asked Mike McCarthy, so are you getting Tyler Smith any snaps in practice at left tackle? And he kind of mumbled something that was inaudible, but it was, I don't need to answer that.
How would Parcells answer it?
It's none of your business. Quit nosing around in my business.
Let me just give you the scouting report.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's what Mike said.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to provide a scouting report.
All right, I saw you and Brad alongside each other looking at practice. Were you talking about the Cowboys or Missouri football? Because you've got a huge game this week against Vanderbilt.
11.5-point favorites.
Oh, yeah?
I don't like to hear that. And it's on the road, I think.
Oh, no.
At Vanderbilt?
How in the world do you go to Nashville and win? Oh, my.
But we were also talking about the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
On their recent acquisition.
And last time the Cowboys were an 11.5 or 12.5 point favorite?
Oh, I don't know. When was that?
It was Sunday.
I thought it was 9.
No. All right.
They surprised a lot of people.
They did. That's right.
Either some people won a lot of money or lost a lot of money.
By the way, I think I saw the NFL or Fox put out a tweet or post or whatever you call it these days about the Kansas City game against Chicago being like the most watched 3:25 or 4:25 Eastern time game in the history of football or whatever it was.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
And when? This week?
Yeah, on Sunday. Sunday's game, the Chiefs, because Fox had the Cowboys-Cardinals, which went to a portion of the country. But the most of the country got Kansas City and Chicago.
Because they were hoping that they'd get a shot at Taylor Swift in the suite.
So then the post comes out that it was the most watched game in the history of football, or whatever it was.
Not only that, yesterday there was also another post that Travis Kelce jerseys went up by 400% in sales.
Okay, but let me burst the bubble on the TV ratings and how Taylor Swift increased the TV ratings so much so that it was the greatest game television-wise ever. Well, it was 34-0 at halftime, and they switched to the Cowboys-Cardinals game. So only the Chicago and Kansas City markets in the second half were getting the 41-7 blowout win. So it was America's team. It was the Cowboys. But everyone talks about it. Oh, it was Kansas City and Chicago.
That was part of the rating in that slot.
So they switched. It was in that same time slot, and nobody would have been watching the game unless they just showed shots of Taylor Swift in the.
That's funny.
In the suite.
Yeah, right. But the Chiefs, the new America's team. No, the old America's team is the reason that rating went through the roof. So, anyway.
You got to give Belichick some credit for what he had to say. when they asked him about
Yeah.
it. He said something to the effect that Travis Kelce has had many big catches in his career, but this might be the biggest one.
I did not
That
hear
was good. That was good.
So anyway,
So, all right. So,
Billy Price. The Cowboys signed a veteran center to the practice squad, and a guy that has played a lot in the league. He's going on 29 years old, and when I saw him yesterday, 6'4", 308. So he's big. Bigger than that Harlow guy.
that you had at 273 pounds or something.
85,
No,
I think.
okay.
Yeah. Whatever they listed.
Which is
him
what he
at.
was when he was a junior in high
Well,
school.
you think the Cowboys put in their roster just said, okay, let's do that with a former weight. Let's
So
see if-
Billy Price.
did Harlow get any bigger?
So
6'4", 298. He put some pounds
There.
on it. Yeah.
all right. So what do you make of that?
What
What do we read? What do we read into that?
They were looking for somebody with a little bit more experience. And if Tyler Biadasz isn't healthy, then they do need a backup center. And this guy has started 45 of 69 games. He's played in the league, 3,000 snaps. And last year, by the way, with Arizona, he started 11 of 11 games played. And in 2021, after 3 years with Cincinnati, he was with the Giants and started 15 of 16 games. So that kind of beats anything the Cowboys have from an experience standpoint.
Also gives the Cowboys 4 first-round draft picks.
Right.
Their
Exactly.
offensive line room. He was the
21st pick overall.
Right, in 2018. He's been around the block a little bit in
Yes, he
these
has.
5 years. Cincinnati for the first 3 seasons, the Giants in 21, practice squad with the Raiders in 22, then with Arizona, as you mentioned, and practice squad this year with the Saints.
And
Remington Trophy winner out of the Ohio State University.
That means they've got 2 Remington
That's right.
Trophy winners.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, that was one of the moves they made. And Brad, I was filling in Brad on the guy's a little bit of his bio. So Cincinnati didn't pick up they didn't claim his option year, I guess. And then he became a free agent, and the Giants picked him up. And then Arizona. Actually, he was traded to the Giants, by the way, from Cincinnati. So anyway, we didn't get any clarification on the injuries just yet. It said basically that Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, and Zach Martin would be with the rehab group today. And so we'll see where that one goes.
So my question also on Billy Price, and I have to do the research myself on it, is does he also, now usually those interior offensive linemen have some position flex,
Right,
where they can play center or guard. And so the question I would have, are they adding, because there are no tackles out there to add to a roster to speak of, you get a veteran former first-round draft pick who adds depth to your interior, where you also have a starting left guard who's a former first-round draft pick who started the most every game last year at left tackle, and it gives you the option to kicking him out to left tackle if you need him at left tackle if Tyron can't go.
right. And you also have the, I guess, ability, if you get one of those guys back, like if Zach's ready to go, then you've got TJ Bass that could play. He and Richards and Chuma could play left guard if needed, if you had to move Tyler Smith to left tackle. So there's some line moves, and they're just kind of fortifying what their options are, and they need options. So anyway, so that's kind of the status of this offensive line going forward. We'll probably know more tomorrow when they actually practice in pads.
But they clearly felt like they needed to fortify the position on the offensive line.
Yeah, and I don't think they liked the idea of Harlow being the backup guy, even though he was on the practice squad. And I guess they would have had a opening on the practice squad because they signed Goodwin to the 53 on Saturday. So they had an open spot, his spot, on the practice squad.
Okay, well, Savannah's going through your text messages and the podcast text line 817-290-3298. And I don't know if you noticed, Mickey, but Savannah is the talk of social media, and people want to know more about Savannah Humoller.
Oh,
Yes.
do they?
You better interview her then.
And
I've already done
through
all
the
that.
course, and we did talk about Savannah when she first arrived here last week, whatever. But Savannah, the floor is yours to give us your thoughts on where the Cowboys are as we enter this week against a New England Patriots team that has Ezekiel Elliott coming here.
Okay.
Jerry was on the radio talking about Zeke's homecoming.
Was he on the radio or the app?
He was talking about. I saw the post about it.
Yes.
So I didn't hear it.
I did.
Wherever it was. Okay.
Okay.
Talking about Zeke's homecoming, and he was asked, will there be some sort of tribute to Zeke ceremony, whatever? And he doesn't want to let the cat out of the bag. Don't want to spoil the surprise. And I'm like, speaking of Parcells, I'm like, what would Parcells say if you're talking about the return of a former player and paying tribute? What is this, a homecoming court? We're going to have a homecoming court, going to crown him the homecoming king?
You got to
Anyway.
dress up for the game.
Honestly, we should just be glad that they don't have the Salvation Army buckets out
That's
at the
right.
stadium
the
yet. 'Cause
kettle, the red
he scores
kettles.
on the
It's
Patriots.
good thing he's coming on October 1st and not on Thanksgiving Day.
Exactly.
Do you think an opponent would have the nerve to jump in one of those?
Zeke
no
would.
way.
That would
Maybe.
Zeke would do it with a smile on his face.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, where do you think things are with this team coming off that loss?
I'm more concerned about the defense right now and them getting on the same page. So obviously, Cowboys, the pass rush, they're going to face Mac Jones. And right now, he has a total of 6 sacks on him so far this season. He's ranked 8th in the NFL in passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So I think our defense really needs to get on the same page because they are going up against Mac Jones, and I believe he's going to make some throws this Sunday.
What concerns you about the Cowboys' defense right now coming off that game against Arizona?
They're going to have to show me that the run defense in this last game was an anomaly, that it was just one of those things, and it's not like, okay, here we go again against a running game, and they're going to want to run the football, right? And this last game, Zeke actually got 16 carries for 80 yards.
5 yards a carry.
And 4 first downs, by the way. He also has 6 catches this year for 21 yards, so he's touching the football. And I would imagine they'll understand how motivated he is for this game, so they're going to see a little of that. And they're also going to see if these Cowboys can set the edges on the run game on that defensive line much better than they just ignored in the game against Arizona.
Ramondre Stevenson, he had 19 carries for 59 yards against the Jets. By the way, that game was played in the rain.
Yes.
On Sunday. And Stevenson's yards per carry is way down compared to the average in the league right now.
Well, do you know what I figured out?
But in compared to what he did last year, he averaged 5 yards a carry last year at a 1,000-yard season.
Which, by the way, the Cowboys, after that deplorable performance against the run against Arizona, are now ranked 25th against the run in the NFL. And 34% of the 394 yards they've given up rushing belong to quarterbacks, by the way. Quarterbacks have gone 24 for 134 against the Cowboys. Now, I'm thinking Mac Jones.
Minus 44, that gets you down to 90 yards.
Well, no. And then minus, what was, oh, no, that was a.
I'm just taking one play out.
Yeah, that was a pass play, I was thinking. The 68-yarder against the Jets.
See, I think on the whole run game, when we talked about it the last couple of days,
right.
it's the aggressive mentality
right.
of trying to create havoc, create turnovers, and I think it's just basically you don't have to take away from that. You have to be fundamentally sound, gap integrity, and be able to. There's some responsibility that comes on the way to sacking the quarterback.
Right.
And the other thing is sacks usually occur when you are ahead in a game, not when you are even or behind in a game, especially. And so the Cardinals, I think they were just very prudent in the way that, they knew exactly what the Cowboys are prone to do, pinning their ears back, coming after the quarterback, and they took advantage of that in that game.
I think they set the Cowboys up perfectly with the first two plays of the game because everybody's like, okay, they're going to run the ball. Well, the first play of the game, they threw the ball, right? And then you're thinking, okay, but now they're going to get James Conner going in this game, and they fake the handoff to him, and Dobbs keeps the ball, and Micah Parsons is tackling a ghost because he didn't have the ball. And there goes Dobbs for 44 yards. So I think they set up the Cowboys quite well in that early possession. But the one that just hurt was allowing Rondale Moore to go 45 yards for a touchdown without being touched. He didn't even have to make a move. And that one, there's no excuse for whatsoever.
All right, we're just getting started on this edition of Mick Shots. We will take your text, and with Mickey's permission, we'll take a phone call or two at 888-855-2297, but we aren't sure if Mickey is granting permission yet. We'll let you know when we come back here on Mick Shots.
I'll think about it.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofer of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, Patriots Week is officially underway here at the Star in Frisco inside the SWBC podcast studio. Bill Jones, along with Savannah Humoller and Mickey Spagnola Everson on assignment throughout the week, apparently. And
I think he goes to New Mexico.
Okay.
It's kind of, all that secret stuff that happens in New Mexico.
Okay. We'll have to ask him when he comes back here. Okay. Let's talk. Let's go. You got a text. Let's talk. Let's get this podcast text line going here and get some involvement here from some of the listeners. And
we going with running backs here?
Yeah, that works. That
All right.
works.
But this isn't necessarily a statement. We have someone asking if the Cowboys should bring in a bigger, more physical running back. But Tony Pollard, he is just doing great for us right now, if everyone is following. He leads the NFL with 64 carries and has 74 touches. And through his first 3 games of the season since Zeke, who is coming back on Sunday,
a bigger back,
had 76 touches in his first 3 contests of his rookie season in 2016.
Well, how about that?
Yeah. That is a timely question. A bigger, more physical back. Mm-hmm. Is that the way it was phrased? I like what we're seeing out of Rico Dowdle so far. And in that game against Arizona, caught the touchdown. I mean, he created the touchdown, caught the ball, and I like the power that he's running with. The play that he made in the second half was an incredible run after a catch. But I like what we're seeing out of Rico Dowdle. And, by the way, Daryl Johnston on the television broadcast, more importantly, said that he likes these backs the Cowboys have.
And we saw in short yardage situation what Hunter Lipke was able to do. So,
but before I'll let you go, Mickey, but having said that, I was a proponent of bringing Zeke back at the right cost.
I was too.
And what he signed with the Patriots, that was, I thought, the right cost. But the Cowboys had to make that decision earlier, and I do not have a problem with the Cowboys going the route they went, and I think they are just as well off with what I've seen from Dowdle so far, and I love the Deuce Vaughn addition as well. And as you mentioned, Lipke, I think they're fine in the running back room. Now, going forward, we're going to see, because Pollard is in his contract year. He's on the franchise tag right now, and we'll see what happens. But Zeke wasn't going to factor into that down the road.
No. And so here's the deal. The first game of the season, they had no problems in the red zone or in goal-to-go situations. And all they had missing on the offensive line at that point was Tyler Smith, right? They had 4 of their 5 starters in the game. And they attacked in 2 different ways, and I thought it was a really good way to compensate for not having Zeke there inside the 5-yard line. First of all, Tony Pollard ran right up the middle and scored a touchdown. The second time they had an opportunity, he used his speed to the outside to score a touchdown. And on a third opportunity, they had Cavante Turpin lined up as a running back from 9 yards out, and he sped to the corner outside and scored a touchdown. So they sort of compensated for not having a big bruiser in there with their speed. In the second game, there's extenuating circumstances with the lead that they had, and basically saying, let's just be careful here. Let's not do anything silly, and let's not show the next opponent what we have. And so they ended up kicking the field goals in that game and didn't do as well inside the scoring touchdowns inside the 20-yard line, going 2 for 6. And in the third game, I just think they compensated for having 3 backups on the offensive line, and they tried, and they had 2 opportunities to score that could have been touchdowns. Throwing the ball to Brandon Cooks ended up landing out of bounds, and then the interference on Michael Gallup where they should have had the ball at the 1-yard line. And somebody, I don't know what his explanation was to pick up the flag, but they listened to him. And there would have been 2 touchdowns right there. So the weird thing is the Cowboys have had the most possessions inside the 20-yard line. They lead the league with 15. So they're getting there. They just haven't punched it in with the going 3 for 11 on touchdowns in these last 2 games. So I think we find out more this game if, number one, indeed they have their offensive line back out there, and number 2, that they have a game plan suited for these backups that they can practice all week and not at the last minute they have to decide, oh, guess what? We don't have Tyron Smith. We got to compensate here because we can't do this or can't do that. I just think they need to use their speed when they get close to the goal line.
I think it's teams, fans, media, we go through this every year this early in the season. It's too small a sample size.
Right.
To know what they actually have. In fact, there's I'm pretty sure Nate in Frisco believes in this. These September football games, it's like these are preseason games. You know, they really.
I've heard that.
They're preseason games that count on your regular season schedule because we're not playing starters in August in real preseason games. These have become like preseason games, and you really don't know what you have on the offensive line and the way the flow of games. We don't know what the Cowboys got up on the Giants 16-0 the first 10 minutes of that game in the season opener. They get up on the Jets, and so they didn't have to do anything. They were fine with kicking field goals against the Jets. The only way the Jets are going to win that game is if you take a risk and turn the ball over. Now you get to the Cardinals game, and you're playing with 3 backup offensive linemen. And these aren't excuses. It's just the reality. We don't know. It's a long season. Let's see as we go along the improvements that they make.
So what I always like to say, do not make season-long conclusions after every game. Just like we sort of warned after a 2-0 start, 70-10, okay, this defense is pretty good, but let's not call them doomsday just yet, right? And now after this loss, let's not overreact to one game. Let's let it play out and see. If they have trouble in the red zone this week again, then maybe they've got something that they got to think about. You know, the other thing I keep hearing is, well, they're not getting the ball down the field. Well, okay, it's raining cats and dogs against the Giants, and they jumped out to a big lead, so there was no need to do that. In the second game, once again, they got out to a lead, and the Jets were playing this nice cover 2, and then they were saying everything underneath, and that's exactly what Arizona did. And I think people forget that, if I got this right, the first possession of the Arizona game, the Cowboys had 2 penalties on offense. They had
false start and delay a game.
False start, delay a game. And then the third possession they had in the game, I believe there was 2 more penalties, if I'm right. They had, where's it at?
Hold on T.J. Bass and a false start.
And then another false start.
Steal.
So again, if you're not protecting your quarterback very well and you've got this idea they got to get the ball out, then you're probably not getting the ball deep. And so, you know, I understand the wide receivers don't have a touchdown yet, and that's somewhat concerning. But again, the first 2 games, those things were also in play, and no one complained about them because they won 70-10. So let's just let this play out and see.
Cooks didn't play the second game.
And, yeah, right, exactly. That might have had something to do with not stretching the field. So let's just let this play out and see, and not totally overreact.
Okay, I like that. All right, when we come back, we turn our attention more so to the Patriots when Mick Shots continues in a moment.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Back to Mick Shots.
Check out the latest and greatest addition to tours at AT&T Stadium and at the Star in Frisco. Meet Jerry Jones, an interactive experience. Get a peek behind the curtain and into the fascinating life of Jerry Jones with a focus on innovative fan experience in partnership with AT&T. This interactive technology gives tour goers the opportunity to ask Mr. Jones a variety of questions. For more information and to book your tour, visit dallascowboys.com/tours. Nate in Frisco. Bill, you are correct. Give this thing some time. We're still in the preseason.
Yeah, there you go. Nate in Frisco.
I think it should have said Nate next door.
Nate in Frisco is who that is.
That's
Mickey.
Nate in Frisco, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
I've been taught well by Nate in Frisco.
We all have, right?
That's exactly right. I love that. Keep them coming, Nate in Frisco. All right, this New England Patriots team, and there will be a lot of talk about Zeke. Zeke talking today, is that right? I think.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
he's
later
got
today.
A conference call at 4 o'clock our time.
A conference call with the Dallas media later today.
Nice of New England to set that up.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. It's a Patriots team that started the season against Philadelphia and fell behind 16-0 in the first quarter of that game, rallied to make it close, and lost 25-20. That was at home in week 1. In week 2, they host Miami. And in both these games, Philadelphia and Miami, they had the football basically in scoring position or getting close to scoring position in the case of the Philadelphia game, and weren't able to come up with a big play to put them over the top. They lost to Miami 24-17. And what did Miami do the next week? They scored 70 points on the Broncos.
With almost 800 yards offense.
There you go. And then last week, playing at the Jets, they win 15-10 in the rain to make them 1-2.
So they've played 2 5-point games and a 7-point game.
Right. In the first 2 games, the 2 losses are against 2 of the 3 unbeaten teams in the league. So are you going to take this team lightly?
I don't think so,
No.
especially after my last performance.
Yeah.
Not whatsoever. And
Do you think they took the Cardinals lightly?
No,
I don't either.
I think they got beat.
Mm-hmm.
That's, people kept saying that, and I said, do not give them a soft pillow to lay their heads on, with an excuse that they took it for granted. They didn't.
No.
They just
they
did not play assignment sound.
And I don't think they were full of themselves. I don't think they were overconfident or any of that. If anything, they were trying to do what they thought has made them successful. The difference is those things that make you successful when you're sacking the quarterback with a lead in a game,
Right.
It doesn't work when you're behind in the game or even in a game. And I think they were just too aggressive. So anyway, the Patriots are going to have their attention this week. We're going to find out a whole lot more about this Cowboys team this week against New England than we found out last week against Arizona.
And I think what everybody forgets is the Cowboys had lost 6 of their last 7 games to the Cardinals. Think about that.
Cardinals are just a juggernaut.
Well, but it's always something weird. 2 of those losses were in overtime to Arizona, right? They only beat them. The one time they beat them was in
2017.
Early in 2017. They only beat them by 3 points, too, by the way.
James in Midland wants to know, what is Coach McCarthy's record against Bill Belichick? And I'll look up this answer.
Oh, good.
You
go for it.
That's a good one. I guess he's playing Bill Belichick. They arm wrestle or something.
You sound like Parcells.
But, I'm sure, here's what I keep saying it. What stands out to me about the Patriots is their defense. They're ranked number 5 overall, 9th against the run. So they really haven't given up much in the running game, and in the passing game, they're also ranked 5th. So their defense has played pretty well so far. The Cowboys' defense has to match what the Patriots do defensively.
And by the way, the Patriots last year, 2nd in the league in takeaways on defense. They always, and I think the year before they were up there too. Of course, the Cowboys led the league in takeaways each of the last 2 years. And when you look at the Patriots' defense, the only guy really that they lost from off last year's team, who was a significant player for them, was Devin McCourty, who retired. They brought basically everybody back on defense, and they added draft picks as well. Christian Gonzalez from right here in the Metroplex out of Oregon is playing very well, had an interception in the game against Miami. And he's been matching up against the top receivers for the other teams as well. Very athletic guy. He was their 17th overall pick, first-round draft pick. Second-round draft pick, Keon White, is playing a lot for him as well, and he's a defensive lineman. And so the defense is their calling card.
Special teams, too.
Right.
Don't they have a kick block return for a touchdown?
Well, you're asking me questions I haven't researched yet.
I want to say I thought I heard that.
Well, I'll have it for you tomorrow, Mickey.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Coach McCarthy is 2-3 against the Patriots.
Really?
Yes.
So, which means he's 2-3 against some guy named Tom, right?
Oh.
True.
And he had some guy named Aaron. Or if it was prior to that, some guy named Brett.
Correct.
I don't know when the games were played. So, yeah, that can be overrated.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know that the other thing with the Patriots is with Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator, one of the issues they had last year is they were doing it by committee as far as their offensive coordinator goes. And so they hired one of the key things was them hiring Bill O'Brien as their offensive coordinator this year. And if you'll listen to Sports Talk Radio in Boston, they're wondering what's this offensive coordinator doing with this team right now, because they're not happy with the results. But again, small sample size, and we'll see where they are. They and of course they're getting ripped in Boston because letting Jacoby Myers go, and Juju Smith-Schuster has not done anything yet for them. It was one of their big free agent acquisitions on offense.
And they're probably getting ripped even more after O'Brien pointed out that they weren't interrogating Will Greer or Ezekiel Elliott about the Cowboys' offense. Why aren't you? Put them in a dark room, right?
The
with
inside
a spotlight on them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
O'Brien said, no, we're not doing that. It's like we can scout and see what's going on. Now, they'll change, they talk about hand signals. Well, the hand signals are on the line of scrimmage, right? Those can't be that difficult to change. The plays come in over the headset. It's not like it's some espionage going on.
But the Patriots are not going to get things going smoothly until they get their quarterback going smoothly, Mac Jones, who was the 2 years ago 15th overall pick. And last year he completed 65% of his passes for nearly 3,000 yards, went 6-8 in his 14 starts, had 11 interceptions and 14 touchdown passes, and was sacked 34 times. Look at him this year, through 3 games, 2 interceptions, 5 touchdown passes. He's been sacked 6 times. He has run the ball a little bit, which he doesn't seem like the type that would run the ball. He's running for his life, I would imagine, with 11 carries for 53 yards. 5 yards a carry. So that is one thing you would think if you're going to compare what the Patriots do on offense to what the Cardinals did on offense, you don't have the running threat. Or what the Giants do on offense, you don't have a running threat with Mac Jones at quarterback.
Right. And so that's one less thing they should have to worry about. But
so you can pin your ears back and go after the quarterback then, right?
Do not do that. Do not make that mistake again, because I'm sure they'll have something up their sleeve to attack you.
By the way, there's something I want to get to, which we didn't get to yesterday after Dan Quinn. I don't think we got to it yesterday after Dan Quinn talked
on Monday,
and it was about Trayvon Diggs. And I thought he was very good talking about Trayvon and, just we don't have access to talking with the coaches or really into the players after Thursday to speak of. And so it was after the game, before the players finally the media was able to talk to players about the Trayvon injury. And then on Monday, we had an opportunity with the coordinators. And Dan Quinn was talking about Trayvon and just the devastation of that injury on Thursday. And, he was getting texts from friends saying, okay, next man up. Yeah. Well, no, there's no such thing as next man up when it comes to a player like that. And you see the human emotion and the devastation of, you worked so hard for this opportunity, and everything is falling into place for a great season, and in one false step, it's taken away from you. And there's it's trite. Everyone says, it's next man up. Well, no, there's no next man up when you're replacing a 2-time Pro Bowl cornerback like that, who he's been paid like it, probably the second best player on your defense.
And had gotten off to a really good start. If you look at, already he had 2 forced fumbles, an interception. He had a bunch of passes deflected. Let's see, where is his line here? He had 6 tackles, a forced fumble, and then really a forced interception too, because they didn't give that a fumble. And he had 3 passes defense and was just playing really, really well. And for that to happen, you're just kind of heartbroken for the guy. And we all, fans and everything, look at it as, how does this hurt the team? Well, it hurts him probably even more so. We forget about the personal aspect to it. And we all get this question of how do they compensate for him? Well, Dan Quinn pointed out one of the 3 guys that played the best in that game against Arizona was Deron Bland. And if you think about it, he had the interference, but after that, you didn't see him much at all on that side.
Right.
They actually attacked Stephon Gilmore more than they. Somebody said, "Why didn't you move Gilmore over there?" Well, the problem wasn't over there.
Well, and then the other thing, when we're talking about the aggressive nature of this defense, when you lose a player like that, I don't. In contrast to the complacency allegations,
right?
You're actually you can be prone to trying to do too much to offset the loss of that player.
Exactly.
So they may have been the victim of that more so than anything else. Is a couple of days before the game, you lose the guy that leads the way as far as takeaways on this team, and now everybody feels like they got to do more than what they normally do, and you lose sight of the fundamental defense that you have to play to begin with.
You're making up for the loss.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that they had to compensate, because they knew they probably knew on Thursday that he was done, but for sure it got confirmed after the MRI. Friday you don't practice. Saturday it's a lighter practice, and you didn't have that much time to adjust everything. Deron Bland, you're moving from the slot to corner. Jordan Lewis, you're moving from the bench to the slot. And you had to make a lot of changes. And I'm not giving them excuses. It's just, fact of how this thing played out last week. So now, this week, at least they've got a full week of practice with Deron Bland at right corner, Jordan Lewis in the middle, in the slot. So
as long as they get through practice.
Yeah, right. Golly. How many guys can you get hurt in practice?
Yeah.
Let's hope not any this week.
All right. Very good. All right. That does it for this edition of Mick Shots. Make it a great Wednesday, and we will see you again tomorrow at high noon on Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!